graphing. All right, and there are several steps that we are going to be using in order to find that solution. The first example that we do, I'm going to walk through very slowly and write down all the steps. I highly recommend you writing down all of the steps in your notes as well so that you have it to look back to, okay? The neater you can be, the better it's going to be. Also, this will be posted on YouTube, so you can always look back at this. All right, so let's say that we have a system, y minus 2x equals 3, and 3x minus 2y equals 5. So again, Friday and Monday, we graphed each one of those equations, and then we found where those two lines intersected. So what we're going to do first today is I need at least one of these equations to be y equals, that y by itself. So get y by itself in at least one of your equations. Get y by itself in at least one equation. Sometimes you'll be given the equations and both of them will be y equals already for you. Sometimes one of them will be already y equals. And then you'll have an example like this one where neither one of them is y equals. Okay? It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm probably just going to choose the very first one because that looks it's not as complicated as the second equation, but there is no benefit to doing both of them. All right, so just do one of them. So again, I'm going to choose this y minus 2x equals 3, and I'm going to get y by itself. How would I do that? I'm going to add 2x to each side. Good. So that's going to be rewritten as y equals 2x plus 3. All right, so I don't think that the first step should be too difficult for anyone because it's similar to what we worked on yesterday, which was writing or converting equations into slope-intercept form. Everybody good? Can I move on to step 2? Okay, I'm just going to scoot this up. So step 2 is I'm going to take this y equals 2x plus 3, and I'm going to substitute this 2x plus 3 in for the y in the other equation. So again, my second equation was 3x minus 2y equals 5. So I am going to substitute this 2x plus 3, and I'm going to put it in for my y. Okay? So again, that step was substitute in the value for y then solve for x. I'll let people write that down before I do anything else. Substitute in the value for y, then solve for x. What this does is it makes it so that our equation only has one variable. The equation is only going to have an x in it. The equation will no longer have an y. So once we only have one equation in our one variable in our equation, then we can solve for that one variable. Question? Her question is it possible to do that with the x instead of the y? So if you would have chosen to rewrite it as x equals something, then you could replace the x with that something, yes. But typically you do y equals just because you're more comfortable having stuff be y equals. And a lot of times equations are already written in that y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so let's actually do that now. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as 3x minus 2 times y. And y is 2x plus 3, and then equals 5. So again, it's this right here that got substituted. That is your y. Yes. Well, if there's a number in front of it, it's going to be multiplication. See how there's a 2 in front of the y, 2 times y? So I have 2 times y. Questions about what I did before I start actually solving it? We sure? Okay, because this is complicated. All right, so what do you think, in order to solve for x, very good. Who said that? Good job, Emily. All right, so we need to distribute. What number should we distribute? -2. So don't forget the sign in front of it goes with it. So we're distributing this -2 to 2x. That's going to give me, good. And we're going to do -2 to the 3, -6. What do I do with everything else? Bring it down. So don't forget to bring it down. Again, the neater you can be with these, the better it's going to get. Because there's a lot to solving these problems. And if you kind of get a mess going on, then it's easy to make a mistake. Okay. Questions about what we did on that? What now? Combine like terms. Fabulous. You all are doing really good. So 3x minus 4x would give me -1x. Or you could just have -x. That'd be all right. I'm going to go ahead and leave it just -1x. Now what? Add 6. Fabulous. So that gives me -1x equals 11. And divide by -1. So x equals -11. Believe it or not, we're still not done with this problem. Again, our goal is to get the solution. So a solution is an ordered pair. How many numbers are in an ordered pair? 2. The x value, which we now have, and we still have to get the y value. Okay? And if you're starting to get lost, don't worry. We're going to do plenty of examples. We're gonna get you. This is just our first example. All right. So our third step then is we're going to take this x equals 11, and we're going to replace the x with -11 into one of those equations. And you can choose whichever one of the equations you want. It doesn't matter which one. Okay. And again, I usually choose the one that looks the least complicated. So step 3. Let's write the words with what we're really doing so we can refer back to these notes. We're going to substitute the x value into either equation and solve for y. Substitute the x value into either equation, then solve for y. So don't do it yet, because for sake of these notes and us staying organized, I want us to choose the same equation for now. Okay? Substitute the x value, the -11, into either equation, then solve for y. So again, I like the first equation the best because to me it seems not as complicated as the second equation. So that equation was y minus 2x equals 3. And I'm going to replace my x. I'm going to substitute in the -11. So it's going to be y minus 2 times -11 equals 3. So I'm replacing that x with -11. Questions about that before we solve for y? Dawson. You could have used the one that after we did step 1 where you had it y equals. You could have used that because it means the same thing. That'd be fine. In fact, Dawson, it might even be less work if you do it that way. Don't worry. After step 1, we rewrote this equation as y equals 2x plus 3. So we could have used that, the way we rewrote it, the conversion. All right, so I chose this one. So, whoops, I don't want highlighter. So what is -2 times -11? Positive 22. And then how do I get y by itself? So y equals -19. So finally we have our ordered pair. This is it. This is the final step. Write the ordered pair. It does take a while, you're right. So the ordered pair is always XY. It has to be in that order. And I know most of you know that, but if you ever get confused, it's like alphabetical order. W, X, Y, Z. Okay, so X, Y, always. So our X value was -11, and our Y value is -19. So that would be our answer to this system. Wow, you're right. So, and you're right, it took me, I had a full piece of paper as well for my notes, but that is with all of our, like, written words and all that stuff. The next time we do it, you know, it's always going to be a little bit quicker because we don't have to write all those words and steps and stuff. Okay? It is. It is a lot of work. So, one reason that you might not use graph paper, what would be a reasoning for doing substitution instead of graphing, like we did on Monday and Friday? Tate. So, substitution is sometimes faster. Why else would we want to maybe use it? If you don't have any graph paper, it's really hard to make a graph if you don't have any graph paper. And sometimes, even if you do, it's not the neatest thing in the world, right? What do you think? Double check your answer. So if you're ever asked to justify your answer, prove why this is a solution to this system, you could prove it now by graphing, and you could prove it by substitution. Also, if you look at these numbers, that'd be a pretty big graph, wouldn't it? If we had -11, -19 as a point on their graph, it's a really big graph. So that would be another reason. So I'm sure that probably right now you all are thinking graphing is better, right? No? Oh, you like this way? Awesome. Well, let's do another one then. All right, well, if you need more paper, come get some. You know where it's at, or get your own. We'll wait for you. The rest of you, if you'll go ahead and write this system. No, we don't have to do that. So that's our system. And again, since we are doing this together, let's go ahead and choose the same equation to rewrite as y equals mx plus b. Which one do you think would be the easiest? I think the bottom one would be easiest. Even though the y is on this side, if I just got rid of this, then I could just flip my equation around, correct? So let's rewrite this second one. So again, if we just subtract our 3x from each side, that's going to give us -3x plus 18 equals y, and then we can just flip it. Okay. Questions? Make sure you're asking questions. Emily, question? You, on our very last step? We're going to substitute this y into this top. We would have to use this equation into this equation. You can't use it into the same equation. Yeah. Well, I mean, we can test it out if you want to, but it's not going to work out. It has to be into the other equation. Has to be. Alright, so I'm going to switch colors here since I'm not writing my steps necessarily. So I'm now going to substitute into my first equation 4x equals 3 times what my y is, -3x plus 18, and then -2. So I'm going to use my highlighter here to help us out a little bit. This y is being replaced with this right here. So I rewrote my second equation as y equals, and then I replaced that into my other equation. Questions before we start solving? Owen? Kaylin? Yes, ma'am. And we're saying y equals this, so we want to replace the y with that. We're not going to replace the y. Okay, that's our next step. There's a lot. Okay. So can you use a calculator, you think? Absolutely. So we're doing 3 times negative 3x, 3 times 18, and then minus 2. Combine like terms. I know some of you have already worked ahead. Just stop if once you get to x equals whatever, stop for me so you don't go too far. Then I would add, you have a variable on both sides. We don't want that. And then divide by 13. All right, I'm going to pause our video so that you can. So again, we had y equals negative 3x plus 18. And I'm replacing this x with this 4. What'd you get? 6. That's what I got too. Good. So our final answer, our ordered pair is 4, 6. Remember, that's our whole goal, is to write that ordered pair. Our x value and our y value. Alright, I'm going to have you try one on your own. Okay? Another piece of paper. If you don't have room, sorry. You know where it's at. Alright. You try this one, and then I'm going to come around, and if you need me, ask me questions. And then we will check it. Feel free to help each other as well. So that means we don't have tons of time left. That means that I'm going to shorten what I was going to have you do 6 problems. I'll have you do 3. 3, okay? Now, they're going to be up here on the board. All right? And I only want you to do the first 3. Okay? You can either use paper in your notebook, or you can use paper from up here. I don't mind if you work together, so some of you are working really well with each other. Now remember, working together doesn't mean, hey, you do 1 and I'll do 2 and she can do 3, right? So just numbers 1, 2, and 3